Business Takeout presents
The Cocktale Hour with L.A. Wade.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl. Who am I? I am L.A. Wade, and you are watching The Cocktale Hour. And we are presented by Business Takeout, who empowers and inspires Black wealth and Black entrepreneurship. And today I am joined by Mr. Carlos Anthony. He is a mental health advocate, thought provoker, and community cycle breaker. Now, I can't wait to dig more into what that means, but I thought I would explain a little bit, Carlos, about how we met. So I first heard Carlos speaking on a clubhouse, in a clubhouse room. And this guy is coming out with the things that men never say out loud. He was just pulling, kind of like Kevin Samuels, but better. So I think you have a platform there. Not because of you telling men or women what to do, but more so revealing that inner part of themselves. And I really resonated with it because that's what I strive to do as a podcast host.
Yeah.
So I was so struck by that. And then about a year ago to the date, I had done an interview with you about mommy issues. And that was extremely illuminating, painful. A lot of women had to take a check of themselves, especially those who don't have men in the house with them as they try to raise boys. And a lot of men, I think, could resonate with their experience because, as a strong Black woman, so to speak, that title doesn't really give room for Black women to show themselves as weaker or as doing something destructive. And you reveal that there's that part of it too. Not all queens are perfect. Some queens, they reign with an iron fist and with dysfunction, unfortunately. And so you were unfortunately a product of some of that. And so we talked about that during Mommy Issues. And then it sent me into a lot of reflection. You were like this dope MC spitting rhymes and lyrics with the words that you were using that day. And I just sat back and really thought about it. And I knew that I wanted you to be a part of my life in some way, but I didn't know how. And then you became my mentor and a grant advisor to me. And you are a tough love kind of advocate for my work, and you promote my independence. And I'm so eternally grateful to you for that, because this industry is not for the weak of heart. And I think I'm too nice to be in entertainment, to be honest, but you give me that shield. You're like that Captain America shield.
Yeah, this industry it's definitely not for the weak of heart. You definitely have to build tough skin. And my experience learning it was some of the people that I admired were just rejecting me. And at first they were rejecting me. Now they're on payroll. So now the relationship dynamic has changed. Now they're a lot quicker to respond to my emails and my WhatsApp, when before it was unless you have a budget between, such and such amount, then we're not even having a conversation. But now that I've exceeded that budget, now I have their ear and I have it on demand. So It's just interesting how this business, how it works and how people act based on what they deem as their time and the value that's associated with it.
Yeah.
But I've learned from it, and my whole plan is just to break it. Just because someone acts that way, I'm not going to go ahead and act that way. I'm going to be better because I have the tools to be better, because I know why they were acting that way from now being in their experience.
Right. So let's go through some of that. Where did you begin and how did you get here?
Okay. So the first piece of work that I got published was in Cry magazine. And I guess that's kind of how I got started professionally as a writer. I also got nominated for a documentary. It was a short documentary that I had co-written with a social media influencer, content creator, Makiba Lindsay. So she gave me an opportunity to kind of help tell her story of what it was to be a Black woman who came from Toronto and moved over to Nigeria. She had spent some time in Nigeria, and just the difference in how she was treated as a Black woman over there versus over here in Toronto. So that was my first opportunity of tapping into the film world and being nominated. I also did go ahead and do a short film that was submitted to Netflix for like a competition. Um, it was nominated. I think all filmmakers, their first projects are never as good as they can be. And I think part of the reason for that is because they don't have the experience for one thing. They don't trust themselves. They often trust other people more because they don't know what they do. They don't know what to do. So they rely on other people, right? They rely on other people to kind of like do everything. And then after that, once they see the finished product, it's like, oh, well, if that's as good as it can get, you kind of just have to make your peace with it and move on. But since then, I've like produced, I think I'm in double digits for short films, or backdoor pilots, as I've been calling them. But yeah, as far as that's where I started. I started with Cry. I started with the documentary. Working for other people is really how I started.
Right.
And then once I established enough confidence on my own through like writing grants and being lucky enough and blessed enough to be awarded these grants, that's how I started to like build. I love the fact that I wasn't selfish. Once I got the grant money, I wasn't like, I'm going to hoard all this for myself. Once I got it, I paid the people that I needed to learn from. I invited other people to go ahead and learn. I saved my recordings from some of my writing sessions, which I love the fact that I did that. And I love the fact that other people are becoming better writers from, working with me, because I'm all about the each one teach one rather than this gatekeeper mentality, which I'm so looking forward to break, because once it's broken, then it's just strictly based on talent. And then at that part, it's like, who can go page for page against the other one?
Yes. Okay. So because we're in this part of like getting to know you, I was like torn between Pretty Boys Don't Cry. And I actually took 2 quotes from Cry magazine, your first, like your start. So I'm like, okay, you're talking about Cry. Do I talk about Cry now? But let's jump into Pretty Boys Don't Cry, because I mean, it does kind of give a trajectory of your autobiographical experience. So how did that come about?
Okay, so Pretty Boys Don't Cry. So I had done a reading with Draft Reading Series. So shout out to Draft. They had reached out to me and asked me if I can go ahead and do a reading. And at the time, I was working on like my memoir, and I just created, because they're like, you only got 10 minutes. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do in 10 minutes? So I basically kind of created like a summary or a synopsis of like what the whole book was going to be about.
Yeah.
And I blew everyone away. And then from there, Kern, Carter, and Safia Bartholomew had reached out to me, and they're just like, hey, we have this, series on love and literature, where we're sharing, these awesome stories, and we want you to be next. And I was like, all right, cool, let's do this. And then I worked with them. It was really hard for me. At the time, I was still like very much an addict. I was smoking like a lot of marijuana to help self-soothe, because I didn't have the tools. It wasn't until like after I had done all this like self-work and discovered all these new tools that have helped me find healthy ways of dealing with my emotions. So
Wait. It's so interesting that you said that, because in my quote section, I took something from your first episode of Pretty Boys Don't Cry and your last one. And this, I don't know if you know which one this is, but it said, the short-term high I got from the validation of my peers created long-term insecurities for Shayna, which is, I guess, somebody that you were with at some point of your life. But do you want to illuminate that a little bit?
Say the quote again.
The short-term high I got from the validation of my peers created long-term insecurities for Shayna.
Okay, yeah. So at the time in my teens, I had a lot of females that I was dating, talking to, or had relations with. And the character Shayna, and obviously it's not her real name, but who she knows who she is. But yeah, so that character or that person, she felt insecure, because at school I would be greeted I guess part of it was also because of the fact that I had a Latin name. So all the Spanish girls would greet me with like kisses on the cheek and like hugs. So it made her feel a way. Plus, when I was at work, there were older women, slightly older, like 3, 4 years older than me, because I was only like 15, 16, that had given me quite a bit of attention. And some of her friends had worked there. So this was getting back to her. And it made her feel insecure. So the validation that I was getting from my friends bigging me up, oh, Carlos is a Gallus, he has all these girls doing all these things, buying him lunches, blah, 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 which was a big thing at the time because you're in high school, right? That made me feel really good, right? It made me feel respected by my peers and validated. But on the other end, it was making her feel very insecure, which ended up causing a pretty big rift in our relationship. It resulted in infidelity on both sides, because when I felt she was doing something, I felt like I had to like one up in order to feel better about myself. It wasn't enough that I was already cheating on her. You're going to go ahead and cheat on me? Well, I'm going to go ahead and cheat on you with another 10 girls. You know what I mean? So yeah.
It was petty. But yeah. But how do we, so when you think about boys to men, how have those things, like how did you grow through learning how to internalize your own validation versus the external validation of your peers?
Oh, that is such an amazing question. It definitely took a lot of time. It took also, I actually finished reading this book called The Way of the Superior Man.
Oh, I know about this book.
Yes, I've been posting it on my social media. Everyone has been like asking me, because I've been posting like pages that I knew people would like, that shock and awe kind of experience from like catching it online. So I learned quite a bit from that. But before I was transitioning, what came was my disappointment from understanding that it didn't matter which girl I was with, that the results were always going to be the same. Everyone has something, and no one is going to meet your expectations 100%. And I have to meet my own expectations, because if I don't meet my expectations for myself, nobody else is going to meet it for me. So I was just tired of being disappointed. And from finding happiness and fulfillment with myself, that's when I realized that I didn't need women to go ahead and fill that void that I felt I needed. And I feel like a lot of people are still struggling with that. A lot of men, especially, they don't know the difference between like the kingdom's way, like God's way, and then culture's way. And I think that's how they get like wrapped up into filling that void. A lot of people just don't even know their purpose, right? So it's like in between the anxiety of knowing what to do next and how to do it next, they get scared and they need to go ahead and soothe themselves with this fear, right? So it's video games is something that's easy for guys to go ahead and do because it's like quick and accessible. Right. Pornography is something else to give you that like release, right? Yeah. And then you have women, you have alcohol, you have marijuana, different forms of, right? Because it gives you that temporary distraction. And one thing for me that I had realized was I don't want to be a slave to any of these things to go ahead and distract me from the fact that I just have work to do. That's right. I have work to do. I'm anxious about doing the work. I may not know how to do the work. I may not have the answers to doing the work. And reading a book doesn't feel good at the time. Reading a book isn't as good, or reading an article isn't as good as, the simple as like smoking a joint or, right. Having a few drinks that'll give me that like nice feeling that, hey, I'm feeling happy. You know what I mean?
Yes. In fact, I think it was in episode 4 of Pretty Boys Don't Cry, you literally can feel your growth throughout all of the episodes or the chapters, where you say, I was trapped between her expectations and my reality. And I just feel like so many people, not just men, but I feel like there's like a different kind of emphasis on men, in particular Black men, they place an expectation on them that I think is unfair in so many ways, but we aren't taught how to really communicate around it and how to allow somebody to just be a human being that is evolving like everybody else in the world based on their environmental circumstances.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, I still have friends that are still kind of stuck. They just lie. They lie about who they are, right?
For themselves.
Yeah, they lie about who they are. They lie about, what they can do. And I think some of the women that they date, for whatever reason, they don't even fact check. They wait until they get stuck in the relationship, whether they get pregnant or whether they're just in the relationship, before they actually fact check and be like, hey, this person has never done anything for these networks, right? Or this person, all the things that they so-called promise, like what they have, the so-called money that they so-called have, or the so-called experiences that they can provide them. And it's like, they just don't fact check. They just believe their lies, and they don't even take the time to get to know them, to like wait it out, to see if this person is going to end up being who they say they are. They just believe them right away, and they give up the draws like right away. Right? And then all of a sudden they get disappointed. And then all of a sudden, if they have a child with the man, which has happened, then they get like angry, and then they're bashing men, and they're like, but this was your fault. This was like your second pregnancy. The first one didn't even pan out. And you got pregnant for all the wrong reasons. And now you don't want to blame yourself. So you're going ahead and you're blaming him, and you're going ahead and you're blaming you're blaming all Black men. But really and truly, you didn't have to put out. You didn't have to believe his lies, right? You could have just waited and gotten to know him. And I think that's the problem with men and women in today's like society when it comes to dating, is they don't take the time to get to know the other person, and they don't focus on learning their purpose and walking into their purpose before, adding other people into it. You know what I mean? They're just trying to fill voids wherever they can.
Yeah, we're afraid of the work for sure. They don't like the discomfort. You obviously are very open about what your opinions are, and you don't censor yourself at all. But I always wonder about censorship in your writing. Like sometimes I've written things and I'm just like, oh shit, I better not put this out. Like, what are they gonna think? Type of thing. But you're just like, there is no censorship. This fire.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, in like chapter 3 of Pretty Boys Don't Cry, what was released was not like 100% of everything that I put out there. There was a little bit of like censorship, because they were just like, this is just too much. Wow. They're like, our readers, they're like, people are already going to be crying when they read this, and they're like, we don't need more of this. This is like really triggering. So a lot of like the really, really bad stuff was like taken out and censored. But yeah.
Someone said purpose is key.
It is. Purpose leads you to direction, right? As long as you know what your purpose is, you'll always be on the right path.
So I was watching this Olenike, big up to Olenike, who just landed an amazing role as Iron Mike Tyson's mom in the new series on Hulu. She sent me this clip of a guy saying that women get offended when a man is really purposeful because he's working in his purpose, and she wants some attention for, from the things that he's doing. But that women should realize that a man in his purpose, she will never be number one. His purpose is, because it's connected to what God is asking him to do. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, oh shit, this is a really it made me stop and think again. And I'm like, I got to ask Carlos, because Carlos is a man of God. He's a man of purpose, and he tries his hardest to give his time and love and energy across his family. How do you deal with those pulls on your person?
It's not easy. And what I tell all my guy friends is stay single for as long as you can. Figure out, find your purpose, walk in it, do all the work that you need to, then, get a partner after, you know what I mean? But like for you to go ahead and find someone and then try to find your purpose, it's just going to be really complicated, because if you don't even know who you are or what you're doing, or what direction you're supposed to go in, when you start dating someone, they'll pull you in another direction according to what they want. And what I've just discovered, is my wife, she's a bit older than me. And she's in a place where she's trying to figure out what her purpose is. You know what I mean? And there was a point in my life, because of the fact that she was more accomplished than me, and she was in these leadership roles, that I was looking towards her for direction, right? But now that I found my purpose, she's been looking towards me for direction. right? So if I had established myself and found my purpose much sooner, I know that I would have been in a better place, and I probably would have been able to lead her better as well.
Yeah. But so many of us are not in a situation where, we do our purpose and then we get together. So if you are in a situation where you're with someone and maybe you're contemplating, do I stay? Do I go? What do I do? I think that it's really important to have a partner that knows how to support the purpose and it be in alignment with her purpose as well. Like, it might be controversial, I know this, but biblically there is an order, I feel. And the helpmate, label on women, feminism has us thinking that that's a negative thing, but there's a sense of purpose in supporting the person you're with. Because then it is reciprocal because you're both in purpose. And if I'm trying to align with someone, I probably won't be able to support him if it doesn't also align with my purpose also. But, growing as people, it's really important. And the things that we say is really important in terms of manifesting, which brings me to your cry, what you put out in cry. And the 2 quotes that I have there says, "We're at war with ourselves under the issue of self-confidence. Our thoughts have so much power, and when our thoughts team up with others' negative opinions, it makes us much harder to win the battle of our self-confidence, even when those opinions lack insight and only see what is on the surface." You wrote that.
I know.
That's some dope shit, man.
I know, man. I be writing sometimes. You know what? It's crazy though. And shout out to Cry, and shout out to Pretty Boys Don't Cry, because Pretty Boys Don't Cry is actually what landed me my first book deal.
Really?
Yeah. So what I had did was I submitted to some recommenders grants to the Ontario Art Council, and not only did I get a bunch of grants from the recommenders grants, but that's how I also got scouted. So I think the last chapter of Pretty Boys Don't Cry was sometime in May. So less than 6 months, or maybe 6 months later, I got scouted. And then 6 months after that, I got my first book deal. I got the contract.
2 things. I could see why, because when you read through the series, you want more. And second is, how the hell do you get scouted as a writer? Do you just put your stuff in a bunch of logs?
I don't know how it works for other writers. If I'm being honest, which I always try to be, my mentors first told me, they're like, getting a book deal is really hard. They're like, it's not that easy. You need to go ahead and do this, this, and this, and this. So for me, I was a bit discouraged by their reality and by their experiences. But their experiences and their reality was my reality. And everyone has their own drives and everyone has their own experiences. And I just knew that when it was my time, that there wasn't going to be any issues for me. But what I've been doing for all my mentees is I've been leveraging my relationships as well as my how I went about to do things to help them get book deals, or help them, get published, or, help them get grants, or help them get into these opportunities where they can go ahead and pitch to different networks to sell their TV shows or their feature films.
Yeah, I love it. You also said in Cry, I've come to learn that the bad is preparation for the good you're about to receive. The most challenging times are where we develop the most. Even in the times where we feel alone, we must rely on ourselves and push through. The only thing stopping us from moving forward is us. And frankly, our goals don't care about our feelings. Our goals don't care about our feelings?
100% true. They don't. They really, really don't. You really got to push through, right? I honestly, when I started writing grants, I hated it. And honestly, it's not my favorite thing to do even now. But it became kind of like a means of survival, even though it still takes time for the grants to come in. But I've just been so blessed that every grant that I've written, I've just been successful in getting. Well, I shouldn't say every grant. I'll say maybe 80% of them.
Yeah, nope. You're very astute at that. And I'm learning so much from you, and I'm so grateful. What aspects of your career are you most proud of?
Aspects of my career. Honestly, I know people are probably going to say that it should be my writing because of the book deal, or, maybe even my filmmaking, but really it's my mentorship. I get really excited and happy Like I'm sitting on as an executive producer and a consultant for Robert's The Commitment. And his like very first draft of his like episode was like 13 pages.
Wait. We got to give some context. So Robert, you're talking about Robert Milolo.
Yes, Robert Manolo, the Toronto award-winning filmmaker.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. So he has a new project that he's currently working on called The Commitment. I'm on as an executive producer and a story consultant, and I've watched him grow. And I've been working with him to going ahead and helping him get his stories to its like full potential. One of the things Robert told me is that I inspired him because last year I created a web series with absolutely no budget. And I wrote 8 episodes, but we only went ahead and produced 5 because I just got busy with all these new opportunities. And it was just harder for me to go ahead and really just create as much impact as I wanted with everyone's project that I was going to be a part of.
How the hell do you write 8 series and produce them with no budget?
With will, drive, and really like resources, like reaching out to like friends who have skills and talents. There are so many people in Toronto that are over 30. I know like the art community, some of the art organizations, and I don't even want to call them out before they end up canceling me from potentially funding me in the future or working with me in the future. But a lot of these art organizations, they only look out for people who are like 18 to 29. Right. But for anybody else that's like over 30, there's like no support or resources. So because of the fact that they weren't supporting myself and people like me, I banded together with the people that were like me that, had a drive and a skill and were ambitious. And we just went ahead and we just started creating. So that's how I went ahead and did it.
There's so many people that are like millennials or whatever comes just before millennials that are like, everyone's on this pay me, my worth, my value. I don't want to undervalue myself. Yet you get so many people to do things for you for free with the promise of, when this is finished, we're all going to win. How do you inspire people to work collaboratively without getting paid? With especially the mindset of these younger people who want something before even earning it. Like I've been working for so long in this industry, and these little younger people are like, pay me. And I'm like, God, do you know what I had to do to get to where I am? And I didn't get paid. So how do you deal with that kind of nuance?
Well, the way that I was doing it was I would share my email conversations with the networks that I was like pitching to. Wow. So that's how I started to like motivate them because also a lot of them enjoyed the scripts. They saw the potential in it, but that's really how I would do it. I would show them, my conversations with like CBC or Netflix or, whoever. And then based off of that, because of the, the clout-driven city that we're in, they were like, okay, yeah, I'm going to work, and I'm going to be a part of this and I'm going to see where it goes.
Yeah. I think Toronto is hungry as fuck.
It is. But the thing is, I think that as hungry as Toronto is, I think people still need to there needs to be some humility because the reality is that you're only as good as your last project. And once that movie comes out, like nobody cares. You know what I mean? Like Spider-Man, No Way Home is like one of the most successful movies of like the year. After it's done its theater run and it goes on to like streaming, it's not going to get the same amount of people that watched it in theaters watching it on Disney Plus, right? People are waiting for the next thing. And then talent wise, that's how it is. You have to earn your stripes and knowing your worth. Like if you're not booked and busy, then what is your worth? Because who wants you? If people aren't even seeing you, some of these actors or creatives, they may be talented, yes, but no one even sees their work. Their work's not even out there. Right. And they want to go ahead and charge an arm and a leg. Well, that's fine. There's other creatives that are willing to take the opportunity and get it. Yes. You want to be paid your worth, then you got to prove what your worth is.
Yep.
Right?
Sit down, be humble.
Yeah. Show us that you can be a millionaire. And why aren't you a millionaire already?
Yeah.
Right? Why are you so accessible right now? Right? Yes, be humble. Because anyway, I can go on.
Okay, well, since we're on this, getting the team together, what are some actual logistics to putting together a team for a TV or film project?
Oh, okay. Well, for me, I wear many hats. So not only am I like a screenwriter, a producer, a director, but for me, it's really just finding the people that can't do the job that I can do, that are interested in it. So Sean Diamond, shout out to Sean. That's my
Love
homie.
Sean.
Yeah, shout out to Sean. Um, Sean was someone that I worked on for the short film Dear Toronto,
Oh, I
and
saw
yeah.
that.
So Sean, we worked on Dear Toronto together, and I reached out to him. Him and Matthew Pompey were the first people that I had reached out to in regards to shooting the One with Rome series. And then again, showing Sean the emails with the studios and just selling him like the vision and like what it was that I was planning on doing. He ended up helping me fill the pieces, and then also working with Carrie Ann Wright. She was on as a director. She's also on as a producer. She also helped me fill in those pieces. Honestly, when it comes to starting, it's really just like starting and then like reaching out to a little bit of people that and then from there they will reach out to other people, and that's kind of how you like build your team. And then I mean, I guess the hardest part is like filtering out the people that are like unreliable after like working with them. Because when you go through production, you're going to have people that are going to cancel on you last minute. One of the challenges that I had was one of my actresses ended up like cutting her finger off.
What?
That's what she said to me. She showed me she sent me a picture, and she sent me this picture like 5 hours before like production started. So I had to go ahead and like recast. Luckily, we had shot our episodes out of order. So because of that, thank God, because God knows what he's doing. At the time, I didn't know that this was actually going to be beneficial. But with us shooting our episodes out of order, I was able to go ahead and recast, and it didn't have an impact on the continuity of the actual project, which was a great experience for me because I've been forced to learn how to like rewrite and readjust, and I wouldn't have been able to do it if I didn't just like dive into it.
Right. Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah, trust me.
A lot. Okay, let's do this thing that I like to do called word, where I say a word or a versus word or a statement that evokes something inside of you to share whatever comes up.
Okay.
Don't worry. I won't, let's just start with something kind of, let's say blind spot.
Oh, blind spot.
By the way, all these words are inspired by your work. So it's something that I noticed about things that I read or saw about something you've said.
Honestly, I think my biggest blind spot would be my willingness to help people without like betting them. That's a blind spot that I have. I will want to help everyone. And then I will find out later on that this person doesn't even have the ability to help themselves. So then it's like more work for me to help them because they still have work within themselves that they have to do before I can even help support them.
Right. Okay. Let's see. Manipulation.
Oh man, manipulation. That's kind of tough, manipulation. What
Yes.
I think emotions are manipulative, because the feeling of anxiety kind of makes you feel like you can't do things sometimes, when the reality is that we can do everything that we want to do. It's just a matter of us like learning and also investing the time into just trying and failing and trying again.
So we'll manipulate, you're saying, to get it done in a kind of like a codependency.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. How about, so this is a longer one. Black boys, Black girls, Black men, Black women.
Honestly, we are more alike than people think. The Other than like our body parts, we really need to like unify and like support each other. I see a lot of opportunity, and this is me personally speaking. People might have an issue with it, but I have been fortunate enough to have the research from some of my friends who have been doing a lot of work for women of color, especially women of color who are entrepreneurs. And Black men, like the statistics is like women of color are doing a lot more than like Black men are. And there's also a lack of knowledge, and there's also a lack of support for like Black men. Even with grants, right now, women of color are ranked higher than like Black men. So I can go ahead and submit a project, and a woman of color is more likely to beat me out, right? I mean, there's other projects that I've been a part of that I got, and I kind of feel like I got it because a woman of color was on the project, you know? So I feel like, and for me, again, this is someone who's like new to the game, but still learning. I feel like between like Black girls, Black boys, Black men, and Black women, that we can learn from each other, we can work together, we can both grow together. Same way that I'm helping you out and helping, you know, other men and women. I feel like more people should be doing it. And a lot of these organizations that seem to be more on supporting one gender, I think that they should work on balancing the scales and doing the research rather than just doing a quick Google search and just being like, you know what I mean? Like CAMH as an example, like they don't even advertise in marginalized communities.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've reached out to them to go ahead and help them with the change, but they're not interested in it. So.
Right. So those that don't know, CAMH stands for?
The Canadian, I don't even know what it's mental health.
Mental health, hospital. Addiction,
yes.
And something else.
Yes. Canadian Addiction Mental Health Hospital.
Yes, I think that's what it stands for. And as a mental health advocate, maybe that will be your next word, mental health advocacy.
Yeah, well, you know what? Honestly, I'm kind of happy that they don't, because it's allowed me to go ahead and find funding to support my people in doing these retreats in my lane. So in October, I'll be going to New Brunswick. I'm doing a wellness retreat for BIPOC creatives, doing the work that CAMH isn't doing by not only teaching them the whole process, the filmmaking process. Like I'll be teaching idea creation, script writing, pitch basics, production. We'll also be creating a short film on the retreat. And on top of that, I'm also teaching them circulation. So I'm going to be teaching people how to get money for their projects, unlike other filmmakers.
We will leave them here.
Yeah, I'm not leaving nobody. I'm not abandoning nobody. I'm making sure that I give them the tools to actually succeed, unlike some of these other organizations.
Listen, that's a big deal.
And people. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true, because I know that for me, I don't know I came from the university. I come from education, and I didn't realize how much of a voice that I had in terms of wanting to create content and to tell stories, and to just have so little support to back up my ideas and follow through. And, you know, they clearly didn't believe in the things that I could do. And then you come along and I get to do a pitch package, and I do this, and I do so many things just from your support. So it really stands out as I love the work Carlos does, says Mike Truth. Who doesn't?
Shout out, Mike. Yeah. Like your project, like it took us like what, a couple weeks before we filmed it, right?
Not even.
Yeah, and that's what I'm like. Julian, he's an actor that's in Trigger. He plays Gabriel, who's another like version of myself at a period of time.
Yeah.
So he has a project that I'm supporting him on. I'm EPing his project. I'm story consulting his project. That's coming out in July. He's never written a screenplay before, but I've given him all the tools, and he was able to do it in a weekend. In a weekend, he wrote a short film. Yes. You know what I mean? And his project, we're going to go ahead and film it in July, and it's going to go ahead and probably be released in like August.
It's so amazing. You definitely put your backative, your resources, and your networks behind the things that you say. So many people are indebted to you, and you don't even see it that way. That's the most beautiful thing. You just purpose, right?
Exactly. I don't want anybody to owe me anything. What I do want, because I can't help everyone, is I want everyone to go ahead and teach other people everything that I teach them. Yeah. Right. So another opportunity that I'm looking to lean into is I'm looking to go ahead and create an app, right, that provides all of my knowledge into the app so I can reach people globally. So globally, people who have questions and they need answers, they'll be able to get them through the app. So that's something that I'm also working on.
That sounds like something LA Way would be a part of for sure.
Well, I was in their own app. People just don't even know about it yet.
Okay, what about imposter syndrome?
Imposter syndrome. It's common. Everyone has it. How I deal with it is I just kind of remind myself of like what my purpose is. And I also remind myself of the people that I wanted to help me do the things that I'm doing now that weren't able to do it. And I remember all the people that I'm mentoring. And I just remind myself that if I don't get out of my head, then I'm not going to be able to help the people that need the help that I'm giving them. So that's what comes to mind when it comes to like imposter syndrome. And that's just kind of how I deal with it. It's just reminding myself of like who I am, what I've accomplished in such a short period of time, and what I've been able to do for everybody else.
Yeah, for sure. When you were working with Anchor, you were working on it with Anchor on, I guess, podcasting. You say at the beginning of that, you say there are only 12 types of stories in the world and multiple perspectives. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, in order for me to like go through, I don't even know if we have the time, but
Absolutely, this is important stuff here.
There's like, I would have to like go through all my slides, but there's basically like 12 different types of like stories. It's like man versus himself, man versus the world, man versus like God. There's like all these like different like templates of like stories. But really what separates them is like the perspective, like the writer's perspective. So like I can write a coming of age story related to like my issues with like addiction, right?
Yes.
And you can write a coming of age story about your issues with addiction. They're both coming of age stories about addiction, but what separates mine from yours is the perspective. Right. And that's just kind of how it is with like everything. If you look at all the different movies that have been produced, all of them are the same stories, it's just perspective. Some of them even use some of the same dialogue, right? And if you've been in this business long enough, or if you watched enough movies long enough, you'll be like, oh, they got that from Poetic Justice. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I mean by that.
Okay, I like it. I'm gonna do another story uptake with you with the 12 stories, because I think that's just like a really dope idea.
Yeah, I would have to like, I mean, we could do it, but I would have to prepare for it, because I can go ahead and like give you like lists of movies that are all the same. Yeah. And I can show you that the writers are different. And I can tell you which ones were done good and which ones were not done so good.
And why?
Yeah. And I also get annoyed when other like filmmakers go ahead and they judge filmmakers that have like budgets. And I'm just like, bro, I've seen your movie and it was not that good. You know what I mean? Your movie was basically an extended trailer that should have ended 5 minutes ago.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? Here you are trying to judge someone and you don't even have that kind of budget. You're not even working with that kind of budget or those kind of actors or, those kind of obstacles. But here you are judging from the outside.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because when you talk about 12 different stories and different perspectives, I think, because I like to do photography and I love music so much. And I feel like photography, like how something is shot, how it's edited, along with the music that you put over certain images, also tells its own story. So you could be telling a story in the way that you are. Sean Diamond might shoot it a certain way, and it's all of a sudden becoming a co-creative story.
Yes.
The music could change the whole game altogether.
Yes, definitely. Working with Sean, working with Matthew, working with Carrie Ann, it's been absolutely amazing. It's also inspired me to direct and to just be out there and to be the one that's like making more decisions.
Yeah.
I felt like in the past, especially like with One with Rome, I felt like I was a bit scared when it came to like making decisions, because I didn't want to make the wrong decisions when really I should have trusted myself more. So I'm definitely looking forward into getting into directing. There's so many more projects that are like coming out. I mean, we're dropping One with Rome July 6th. And just for the next few weeks, it's going to be marketing. But after that, we're dropping Triggered, which was shot partly at your house.
People always wonder what the hell is happening at LA's house with this guy carrying all these girls.
All these girls, yeah. Yeah, and then I think after that, the Delian Sisters project, it was titled TBD, but now we're changing it to Immature. So that one's going to be dropping, and then after that, we're doing the backdoor pilot to Pretty Boys Don't Cry. Yeah, we're going to drop that soon. Quentin Rose is in that. He's been like on fire doing like commercials and stuff. He had a good performance. I was entertained by what I had seen. We're still in like post-production, so I haven't seen everything yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Everyone has told me that it's the best project so far that we have filmed.
I already got goosebumps because I read the episodes or the chapters on that Love and Literature.
Yeah. And
so when you say that you're going to be doing it as a film, it makes a lot of sense. I get all the feels. I don't know how you did it, but I, as a person that wants to direct, I see things in my mind for myself. So I can't wait to look at it. And you talked about your insecurity in a sense that you felt when you wanted to first direct. And when I met you outside of like doing these interviews, and you said, you pushed me to do this pilot for The Adventures of a Recovering Sex Addict, which I can't wait to start writing with you. I remember that first day of filming, and people are asking me these questions, and they're telling me to tell them what to do. And I'm just like, well, fuck, Carlos isn't here. But you have to get to a place where not only do you, and I know that I'm a person director, like an actor's director, I think, if that's a thing, because I really want to bring out in the person how I see it in my mind so that it works, and giving people permission and to be who they are, but then just, creating what it is that you're looking for, and not being afraid to tell them what to do, and to tell them that was shit. Do this over, and to get the shot you want.
Oh my goodness. I can't even, there was a time, and God bless him, but we were shooting a scene with Marlon McClashen for When with Rome, and we shot the same scene 32 times.
What?
I wasn't playing around. I made them go ahead and do it. And we had we were shooting on weekends. So like for me,
and these are people working for free.
These are people working for free. They know like I don't play. Like Jolene Phillips was there. She's like EPing on the project. She's like executive producing all of my projects. Shout out to her. She's actually
Jolene. She holds you down.
Yes, and she has a project, Nerd Intentions, we're going to be going into production in September. So be on the lookout for that, everyone, because that is going to be hilarious. You guys are going to love it.
Love it.
But yeah, like 32 times, you know what I mean? And there were other shots that we did it over and over and over again, because I wanted it to be as good as we can get it. And with me being a director, the expectation for my actors is going to be higher. And now that I have like this experience and this confidence, I don't even have an issue working with different actors. I'm not pigeonholing myself. Like, I want to work with the right talent so that I can get the right vision out.
I love it. Okay, so just a couple more questions before we close out, because this hour went by like super duper fast. But I felt like it was, you're giving a lot of great information, and we're getting a lot of insight into you without hopefully triggering people, which is what our conversations have been like before. What are some efficient ways to write when you don't feel like writing?
Pushing through those feelings and writing anyway. And even if it doesn't make sense, even though it's garbage, just write it anyway. I've gone for my manuscript that I had submitted May 30th to the publisher. Before I had submitted it to them, there was a chapter where it started out as like a brainstorm, and I legitimately left the brainstorm in there before submitting it to them. Obviously I took it out after, but it was like, there was like a synopsis of like what I wanted, and I kind of like built it out from it, because I was like stuck. I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know how I was gonna, because when you're writing, you're basically an architect, you're a story architect, right?
Right.
And for me, whether I'm writing a book or whether I'm writing a screenplay, down from the tension to the dialogue, to like the actual like story. It's really like a puzzle that I'm building.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So just like write everything that's on your mind. Definitely want to be one. He was one of my actors in my first project, but we got to like redo it again because I feel like that project that Mike was in, I didn't put him in a position where he can really like succeed in that project because it was like my first time and I wasn't even there. I wasn't even there to direct. And there were some things that went wrong. And the person that was there that was like directing, obviously he didn't write. I don't even know if he read the script.
Yeah.
So,
but luckily I know Mike Truth. And I remember when Carlos is the truth. Yes, Vicky. I remember when he was auditioning, he was reading the script to audition. He's like, I'm ready. And he's right. If you had done it then, the way that you would like to do it, he has grown so much as an individual, as a performer, as an artist, as a model, as an MC, that you will get so much more from Mike Truth now than you ever could have been back when you were doing that. So big up to Mike Truth.
We're gonna make it happen. He might be in your project because we're gonna be.
Definitely has to be in my project.
Yeah, he might.
That's my partner right there.
He might be one of the love interests.
Oh well, I won't be. It won't be me play. I know who I want to have play me. I think there's certain people I want audition for me because I'm an interesting little individual here. So they need to have some range in their acting. Yes,
don't worry. It's going to be perfect and it's going to, I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, just to answer your question though, like, I mean, you just got to keep writing, write everything, even if it doesn't make sense, just like vomit it out from your brain onto the page and just get something on there. Because you getting something on there is going to be good for your morale. I mean, when you're writing a book, I think it's Walter Mosley that says you should go ahead and write at least like 1,000 words a day. And 1,000 words a day to some people might not be a lot, but to others, it might be a lot. So for me, just write whatever you possibly can, aim for the 1,000 words a day. As like the goal. But if you don't make it, don't be hard on yourself because at least you got something done. And then tomorrow is another day. And then you just try to spend some more time on that tomorrow. And then at the worst case scenario, you can get yourself a mentor. I can't be your mentor for the next few months, but in the future, maybe we can talk. And then I can help you kind of like, build up the story because that's what I'm helping other people do with some of their projects, building up the story and helping the story reach its full potential.
Yeah, I love it. So that was like how you write when you're trying to overcome like writer's block or not feeling like it. So what are the ways to become a writer, like a professional writer? What's the best way to begin a career in writing?
It depends on what kind of writer you want to be, whether you want to be an author or whether you want to be a screenwriter or whether you want to be a journalist. If you want to be a journalist and writing like articles or like published essays, start writing. And then once you write, Medium is an easy platform for you to go ahead and post things. There's a bunch of other small publications on Medium that are looking for writers. Feel free to like DM me if you have any questions and I can send some publications your way. As far as like being a screenwriter, start off with like a pilot. I would say start off with like a short film. Because a short film is kind of like the easiest for you to go ahead and do. And a short film is between, 5 minutes and like 45 minutes, which is essentially between 5 pages and 45 pages. So if you can start off with doing a short film, maybe like 5 pages, and then just having like an experienced screenwriter take a look at it and give you feedback. Because if you just get a friend that has no idea what screenwriting is, and they're like, yeah, it's good or it's bad, then you're not going to get any direction and there's no way for you to go ahead and improve. But most importantly, you have to read.
Yes.
Writers, there's so many writers that don't even like read. And it's just like, well, how do you expect to get any better if you're not reading? You got to read scripts. You got to go ahead and read articles. You got to read books. And then while you're reading, you write. So read and write.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. So this is a little off, but because of the type of stuff that you like to, write about, I have a question that I went around the world asking, which is if you have 2 women and you lie to one and you tell the truth to the other one, which one do you love more? The
I
one
would
you lie to or the one you tell the truth to?
I would say if you are an immature man,
Yes.
it's going to be the one you lie to. And the reason why you love that one more is because you're afraid of what she thinks of you. And you're also afraid of the consequences of the truth. So
But
yeah,
it's a mature man.
if you're a mature man, and when I mean mature, I don't mean in age, because there's some men that are in their 40s or in their 50s that are still out there, lying.
I know this already. I think I've met almost all of them.
So if you're a mature man, then I would say the woman that you are honest with is the one that you love, because you've created a safe space with this person. And because you've created the safe space, you feel comfortable being honest with them, regardless of the consequences. If you're a mature man, you're probably not going to have multiple women. You probably understand how expensive it could be having multiple women.
Right? And ladies, stop making it easy for them to do that.
They do make it easy.
They do. Okay, last question is, what do you thirst for? What's your legacy?
I thirst for, what do I thirst for?
And like when people answer this question, they need to understand that like thirst is not like something where, oh, I'm a little parched. No, I'm talking like you would drink something that isn't right for you because of how thirsty you are. That's how badly you want it.
I thirst for so many things. I thirst for destroying white supremacy. I thirst for opening the gates, because there's all these gatekeepers. So I thirst for opening the gates and also bridging the gap between Canadian film entertainment and American film entertainment. That's what I'm actively working on. That's where we're going to be flying out to Los Angeles in November to start building those relationships. So yeah, that's really what I thirst for. And there's nobody in the world that's going to stop me from pursuing it and working towards it.
Oh yeah, no, I support you. I'm here for you. How do people reach you?
I'm going to say people can reach me on Instagram. They can DM me if they want to get a hold of me. Twitter, I made a mistake of like just saying I'm looking for a graphic designer to design my debut novel. And then I got like 100 comments and I was like, this is too much for me. I don't even have time to go through all of this. Katrina's on vacation. What am I supposed to do? So I would say reach out to me on Instagram. I typically get back to people within like 24 hours. I'm not taking any like mentees on for like the summer. In the fall, potentially. But like right now, I'm just booked. I'm really just focused on making movies for some of these studios, and really just helping everyone that I'm already helping, just kind of like get them to where they need to be. So I'm already at capacity, and I'm just working on establishing some boundaries and not, because I say yes to everything. I say because I want to help everybody. I'm always like yes, 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 yes. So I'm working on saying no.
All right, that's good. So not how do we reach you, but can we get a sneak peek of some of the exciting new things that are happening, or do we have to keep it on the low still?
What can I share?
Yes.
Contracts. As of right now, my debut YA novel, which is currently untitled, is going to be coming out in the spring of next year. So that's exciting. When I was talking to them today, it was like between March and May. And it's kind of gives some people some insight on what the YA novel is going to be about. It's basically about like my experiences coming from like a predominantly white school into a predominantly Black school, and me trying to navigate and fit in while dealing with racism, colorism, different microaggressions, police assault and harassment. So far, the publishers are all saying that it's groundbreaking. I'm being compared to Jason Reynolds and Angie Thomas.
That'll give me goosebumps.
Yeah, that's who I'm being compared to right now as far as like being an author. So I'm actually going to be going ahead as part of marketing. I'm going to be doing some trailers, some live action trailers.
Nice.
For some of the chapters to go ahead and promote the book. So I'll be working on that probably in the winter of next year. And then I'll start releasing it in April as the book comes to its launch. And because of the fact that Canadian publishing it won't be available into the States until 3 months later, then I'll be going into the States and doing some marketing there. And a press tour, of course, a 10-day press tour. So yeah.
I am so excited for you, Mr. Carlos Anthony. I am indebted to you. I am proud of you. I don't care what anyone has to say about you. You will always have my support. And so do all of the people watching who are bigging you up in intervals here. Thank you, everyone, for watching the Cocktale Hour. It's presented by Business Takeout, where we look to inspire Black wealth and Black entrepreneurship through intimate and sobering conversations. So if you'd like to sponsor or advertise on our show, please feel free to connect. I'm your host, L.A. Wade, and this is Carlos Anthony. Look out for something in the theaters near you coming soon, in a bookstore coming soon, or even if you have mentorship opportunities, when he's finished in the summer, he'll be happy to reach out to people and start a new program again. So thanks, everyone, for watching. We'll see you next week on the Cocktale Hour. Peace out. Thanks, Carlos.
No worries. Take care.
If you enjoy our programming and want to help support Black entrepreneurship, please donate today. www.businesstakeout.com/donate.